What's good, y'all? Not gonna actually be on this live for a long time. At least it's not the plan, child. I hope that you are finding the other channels that you can connect with me on and things, okay? But specifically on this channel today, I'm going to initiate something, and maybe this is the beginning of the end of a narrative or the beginning of the end of certain types of attachments, okay? For you and anyone that it applies to, okay? All right, so if you would like, you can put on a head covering. I do have on my head covering as I am facilitating this channel of energy. Okay? All right. So, what we're doing here today is we're deading or cutting away a lot of unnecessary, problematic, invasive energy patterns, okay? That's what we're doing here today. It is overdue time for some situations, and for some people this means relationships, associations, and the ability to connect with energy that no longer wants to be connected to, okay? So if anything, let this be a start of a process of purging. Okay, now let me go ahead and lay some ley lines down really quick. Okay, I would not, especially on a Wednesday, happy Mercury Day, Mercury rules Wednesday. I want you to be aware that you and those around you are merely mirrors of each other in some sort of way, right? So in approaching this, if you're dating a situation, understand that there are parts of yourself that, if there's an attachment, that let's say if there's an attachment, certain people that you do not want in your energy field, you don't want them in any on any level of contact with you. You don't even want the idea of you to surface in their mind to make a connection with, okay? If you are experiencing that because you see that there is humans can be like an invasive species, okay? Some attachments can be like an invasive species. Let me explain. Some can be like weeds, okay? And the issue with, with weeds is that they can strangle healthy plants, and they can strangle healthy growth and essentially rob the nutrients of the whole area. So weeds don't actually bring anything positive in a sense of, if you have certain types of vegetation. Weeds can strangle, the roots can be very devastating, and they can bring death to an area. They can even change the quality of the type of seeds that are planted in a garden, whether that is the sculpture of even a yard, the type of grass that you have. Weeds are very invasive. So, and certain plants are very invasive. So when you want to rid a place of it, you have to go and find what part of yourself resonates with that, and you must take some time and take accountability. Okay, so in initiating this death dive, okay, this is, think of a falcon, or think of some other bird of prey, okay? And when it strikes, it can take dives at speeds that are unreal. And just the mere strike of his beak can crush the skull of something, okay? So what this means is that there is more necessity in your speed of thought and your application of thought in order to execute, okay? This is where the emotions could be like, for some people, they're wanting to attach, or you have attachments in you that are emotionally rooted. And this is where I'm gonna. I actually started kind of talking about it on X last night. This is where I'm gonna start asking you to, or I'm gonna ask you to challenge emotional relativity. Okay, because there are just some places that you need to uproot certain weeds in your garden, because it's an invasive species, meaning that it's not the person, it's more or less the behavior that that person represents that may be problematic, okay? The person is just a red flag to a part of yourself. I hope you can follow me, okay? The person is just a physical vessel, or like a flag or an alert to your internal system that, hey, this part of yourself is out of balance. That's one thing. Or it's being ignored. That's another thing. Or it's underdeveloped. And that's a third thing, okay? Or all three. It's wreaking havoc, it's underdeveloped, and it's being ignored, meaning that you're operating out of this place and you have no control over the situation, because either you believe that you are not able to, um, you don't even know that you have the ability to tap into those states of yourself. You don't know that these feelings or emotions may exist inside of you, and that there needs to be an active engagement of one's intellect to dissect the emotional invasive nature that's being problematic and that is being ignored, thus creating havoc. Okay, so when I'm saying putting dead to a situation, I need you to understand that we are now traveling at a much higher altitude, and it's less about going after a person, because that is going to be low vibrational. When, listen, you can choose to follow my channel, and you can make it whatever you want to make it, but it becomes increasingly, and I've seen it already happen with certain individuals, and that's how I test things. Okay, I use people. You put yourself up to be used. It's not, I'm not making it a thing. It is what it is. If you are attached to a particular thing, then why not? I'm not going to not use good energy. I'm not going to throw energy away. Okay? No. Like, are you serious? Like, that's a great test subject. They may not know that they're a test subject, but that's a great test subject. They may not know that I'm actually doing things that create stimuli. They're not even conscious of what the stimuli is, because they don't resonate at a level high enough to recognize it. I don't care what you say. You can say and feel however you want to feel, but the truth be told is that if you're still at the level blaming individuals and obsessing over other people and attaching yourselves to storylines or narratives, then you're asking to be used. And there's no compensation for it outside of what you give yourself. Okay? There's no compensation. No one owes you anything. You owe it to yourself. This is the higher level of responsibility, especially emotionally. You know, people feel disenfranchised, but they don't ever give themselves permission to be anything more than what they believe, the way that they come in. Some people enjoy victim narratives. Some people enjoy narratives in toxic relationships. Some people enjoy drama, you know? And these will be the same people who will tell you that they're angelic. but they're full of wrath. Every sin that you can think of, they indulge it with no discernment. They indulge every sense, every bit of idolatry. They indulge every single lower vibration of themselves in such a way that they make it a religion. And what that does essentially is that it takes away their sovereignty, and it essentially has them out here in the world, claiming that they're not being given the respect by society, when the truth be told is that we're just following the instructions of engagement. You want to stick around, you want to hang around, you want to observe, but you don't want to grow. So you essentially, there's nothing that goes to waste. You will be used as fuel because you're not in control. You're not actively in the driver's seat. Your lust is in the driver's seat. Your longing is in the driver's seat. Your emotional imbalance is in the driver's seat. Your fantasies are in the driver's seat. Your immaturity is in the driver's seat. Your lust is in the driver's seat. You know, all of these things that keep you out of the realm of conscious management are in the driver's seat. And if it is unmined, it is just wasted energy. You're wasting it. So I'm not going to waste it, So I'm just saying, I think that we have to understand something. Like, for instance, last night I was looking at a post, and the person, they were talking about water signs and water houses, and how, water signs oftentimes connect to people and oftentimes end up hurt, and because they want to go deeper. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I said, but wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not even giving the person their due right now. I'm paraphrasing because it didn't make sense to me. What makes you think that you can just go up in the world and start bleeding out on people? Why do you have that little of self-regard that you project emotional relevance on people without engaging that person and getting that person's permission? And then on top of that, you're being a bit deceptive, because essentially you're saying, I can solve all your problems and I don't need anything. When the whole time, the only reason your ass is bleeding out on everyone is because you either being neglected, or were taught that neglect was okay, and that you had to give people something to use in you in order to be relevant to other people, because otherwise people would not be interested in you. You are in a full injury and you need help, and you're going to every place that you shouldn't be to get that help. And it's infuriating, because it's like, wait a minute, you are spiritual. You should know that there are universal laws that govern a level of discernment and accountability. I don't care if you're 12th house. I don't care if you're 8th house or 4th house, or if you're Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. And most Cancer, Scorpios, and Pisces, they get to a point where they learn this, where, wait a minute, it's my responsibility to mitigate where I am sharing of myself. And no, the world is not a kind place. But am I increasing the cruelty of the world by being cruel to myself and neglecting myself and giving myself away in hopes that someone will care? And then hurting my own damn feelings, because then I attach to someone in which I've created a emotional connection to in a one-way sense. Shout out to what is her name? Y'all, please. Hold on one second, boo. Because I got to give her due. Hold on one second. And shout out to Shoddy Astrology. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to her. Because I believe that she really does tap into the quality, especially when it comes to water sign placements. and shares like various types of ways to look at the zodiac and the attributes of the zodiac to implement those superpowers to truly embody your true life's purpose and your own level of brilliance, and in that carry a level of responsibility. Responsibility is very sexy, okay? Responsibility and having mental and emotional and even and definitely physical, but spiritual fortitude is absolutely intoxicating. Okay, there's nothing that feels safer than someone who is in complete control of themselves and does not give in to the whims of their emotional imbalance and allow for their fantasy world to rid them of the responsibility of their physical world. Now, I say all of this being a person with several planets very strong in the 8th and 12th house, lots of Neptunian energy, okay, lots of 8th house energy. And I have, as I've navigated the world, had to come into reality about where vulnerability emotionally can not only be a weapon, but it can be utilized as a way to keep your energy very leaky. Mind you, you are speaking to someone who has Saturn and Pluto on their moon. Okay, it's not conjunct, it's in opposition. Oppositions can be just as well, oppositions really are just another form of a conjunction. Okay, so if you have like major planetary influences in your 7th house that are opposite your rising, those oppositions could show up like conjunctions. Okay, they're not the same thing and they don't necessarily operate the same, but they can, in terms of the intensity of their influence, it can for some people be very, very intense. Specifically, if you are a person like me who has Pluto and Saturn opposite the moon, you are quite aware. Probably, and mind you, listen, hold on now. Let's not get too get too far down the road. I have Pluto and Saturn sextile my sun, and I have a great relationship between my sun and my moon. So the ease of information flow for me is like two lovers. You understand what I'm saying? Like for me, being able to speak about these things is like laying with my lover. There's just certain things that my body remembers for each lifetime. Okay? That's what it's like when you have difficult aspects that then in those difficult aspects, the planets that are involved, there are aspects of ease such as trines, which are what is that 120 degrees away from each other, or sextiles, which are 60 degrees away from each other. These are easy. This is an easy flow of information, and not all trines and not all sextiles are good, especially when you're dealing with some malevolent planets. However, they come in clutch for someone like me. I raise my hand because if you have oppositions with malevolent planets and you need to understand how they are operating, what they're doing, and exactly where the discomfort of the simulation as it relates to your moon. For me, for some of you is the sun, some of you is your rising. For you to understand why that influence is there, those sextiles and trines come in clutch. Okay. But yeah, I can't really escape Saturn's need for structure, nor do I want to. Okay. Nor do I want to. I really can't escape Pluto's requirement of transformation, nor do I want to. Like the Britney songs, like Britney Spears song "Slave." You know what I'm saying? Like it's some kinky shit going on with the Saturn and the Pluto, okay? Because I found a lot of power in this, okay? So this is the only reason I'm speaking about it in such a way is that I found it empowering that I have the opportunity to take a situation that was meant to disempower me and instead extract power and mastery from it and level all the way the fuck up, lending myself a level of invincibility instead of always having to be attached to someone or something outside of myself to harvest power. You know, like for instance, let me give this example. Some people may have to go and rob someone, but when you have certain kind of power, it feels like a release for someone to bring you your things, okay? Which one would you rather do? Would you rather go and rob someone, or would you rather they just bring it to you and be glad to do it? That part. Okay, so if we're still somewhere thinking that we are a victim, this probably isn't your lane. Okay, this is a class that you're not yet ready for, and that's okay. That's quite all right. But I just think that to be here or anywhere for that matter, that gives you that much frustration where you're being challenged and you're not seeing a mirror of your greatness. Maybe you are not able to see your greatness. Maybe because you are not intellectually, spiritually, or emotionally mature enough to surf that particular side of the ocean. Maybe you're not able to dive or delve in the depths of the sea at that, depth, that pressure, that type of, the bottom of the ocean is it's pressurized. It's so pressurized it would rip your skin off. That's Scorpio, by the way. Scorpio, if you had to ask me in water sign energy what Scorpio was, Scorpio is the iceberg that you think is a piece of ice and it's a whole fucking mountain under the ocean. You know what I'm saying? It's bring it down Titanic type shit. That's one version of Scorpio. The other version of Scorpio is everything at the deep. So deep, so much pressure that you have to become translucent. So dark, you emit bioluminescence. You emit beautiful life while being a strange creature. That's Scorpio. It's very addictive, but it requires a level of translucence in order for one to navigate that kind of pressure. Okay? If I had to talk about what I thought Pisces was, Pisces is the expanse of the ocean. Every sea, every stream, every ocean, the expanse, the depth, the bigness and the vastness of it. Not the physical object like Cancer is, the physical being of the ocean. What I'm speaking about is the vastness of it. You understand? That's a concept that we sometimes are not able to make sense of. We're not able to grasp it. And if you pay attention to Genesis, in which it talks about the firmaments and separating of waters, then we would understand here that when I'm speaking about Pisces, that I'm not, or Neptune, I'm not limited to just water here on earth. When I'm speaking about Cancer, I'm not just limited to the oceans and the streams, and yes, streams, absolutely. Cancer is also an earth sign by way of Capricorn. So let's really understand that. You know what I'm saying? Let's really get into it. If you really wanted to go there and expand even you know what? We're not going to talk about it here. We have years to talk about this stuff. And I always come back around to it, even though I fly off to do something else. I always somehow come back to it, and it's right on time. But you talk about Cancer. Have you ever taken a time to study Sirius, the star system, and how Cancer, the Earth or the physical mom, the higher mom being Saturn, With the physical mom, the one that's earthly, Cancer, have you not understood how ancients considered Cancer to be the son of the soul? And it's not until we establish the soul within that we can create solar systems. So, like, there's a lot of, ethereal energy that are placements. And if you have these placements on your north and south node, it only makes it stronger. Now, if you are a person, especially who has Capricorn and Cancer on the South Node, and certain people decide to ignore you because you went out of bounds with them, then that was your portion. They had every right to. You were out of line. You don't have those kind of placements and play in people's faces and insult them and expect them to not come at you a certain type of way. It is important that you understand that you must develop your weaponry knowing that it's not the place that you go to resolve every concern that you have. You can't be so happy on your trigger finger that every time you get a chance to expound upon something because someone you don't like has a weakness that you perceive to be a weakness, and then that person comes right back and they're able to volley the ball right back over, and you find out you are outclassed. Like, you got to decide, do I want to go with this North Node in Capricorn and I have to learn of my North Node being outclassed over and over? Or do I want to sit my happy ass the fuck down and observe, take note, and question why I am moved to discomfort? Is it a thing of my South Node? Is it a limitation? Because every time I act on it, I get a response I don't like. And every time I yield to it, I'm expanded. I'm improved. I'm upgraded. Right? So that's what this is about. It's about being able to pick your battles wisely. Because maybe it's not a battle. Maybe you view it as a battle at your level of awareness. When the truth be told is that it's an initiation. It's all an initiation. Every single challenge you have in your life is a form of an initiation. And you may not, it may be lost on you now, but the challengers that come to your life, they work for you. They work for you. They're employed by you. When people come and make trouble with you, they are your employee. So if you find yourself always making trouble with other people, that means that those people are your master. Especially if you are doing so unprovoked. They own you. They rule your life. I assure you, you think about them more than they think about you. And it's not until you master yourself are you going to be giving your freedom papers. So if you don't like the way that feels, you don't like the way that sounds, then that right there tells me, and it should also tell you, and then firstly should tell you that there's so much opportunity here. And in that opportunity, it's probably wise to reduce the opportunity cost, or to at least have management over what those opportunities are costing you, to not take advantage of them. You understand? So this is, again, we're putting an end to certain narratives. We're making it painfully clear that who is these new niggas? Okay? These is not me. This is not my crew. I don't know who these new niggas is. Let's stay away from those niggas over there. You understand what I'm saying? That's really where we're at with it. And that's right. No one who has earned their stripes should be with a rookie. Are you serious? You shouldn't be going band for band with someone who's not even on when their millions of dollars are on consignment to them, and you are you are the person, the consignee, or the consigner, whichever one. I'm sorry, but you are the one who is the, the lender and not the lendee. You shouldn't. That person should never feel as though you are a peer of theirs, because what happens is, in doing that, you shortchange that person's ability to rise to the occasion, because they're convinced there's a likeness between you two. They're convinced that there's not a need for their refinement. And I'm telling you here and right now, don't make that happen. Don't insist in that. Because what you're doing is corroding and perverting the spirit. You're not helping anybody trying to be everyone's friend. You know? Those who are the rulers can't serve those who have entrusted their kingdom to them by being a commoner. Relating to the people is one thing, but being amongst the people in the sense that you live the same and no one can tell the difference unless that is a military strategy, it does not serve the purpose of your office. Even the people who, you know, if some people are hierarchical, you being in your office actually serves the highest interest of those who you come to serve. Okay? So it's not a thing of thinking you're better. It is a thing that for the future, to ensure that those who come there after you are of the highest quality, and that they were not given a false ideal that robbed them of the opportunity of growth and made them weak in comparison. Look at what's going on with the US. People are afraid of the draft. Look at the softness that came in with the millennials, and unfortunately with some of the Gen Zs. And it started midway through Generation X. We're overweight. We're entitled. We're spoiled. And if we were to go to war, they would smack us. We're not mentally tough because of this, way in which this lackadaisical and overly involved government into the affairs of parents, and then the lingering of abuse within households have weakened the people, because it went on too long unaddressed. So now we are having to rebuild ourselves, to strengthen ourselves, especially with Saturn in Aries. Those of you been getting headaches, tension in the back of your head, sinus drainage issues. Yeah, the sinuses are located right above your brow bridge, right up under the occipital bone, or in this case, you have high cheekbones in the apples of your cheeks there. There has been a lot of pressure there. Shout out to those of you who have North Node in Aries. Shout out to those of you who have North Node in Aries in the Ashwini Nakshatra. Okay? I probably speak to you because we may have a conjunction with my moon. So there's that. Okay? But coming into these spaces and relating and not allowing yourself to be challenged for your growth, and instead seeing it as a competition, one that you are not prepared for, is it is a waste of the energy. And for those who do just that, you can't get upset, because you've given us permission to use your energy as a way to test our theories. And until you become very serious about what the fuck it is that you're doing and your responsibility for whatever ails you in life, you will continue to be someone's bitch. You'll continue to be nothing more than something low to the ground, getting stumped out. and discarded at every corner. And until you are ready to get your ass up off the floor and out the trash can, you will continue to be treated as such. And that's not because people want to treat you that way. It's because those are the instructions that you give everyone to do to you. Because you go and push your emotions as if an emotional readiness and openness on people who've not even so much as inquired about it, which takes away and dulls your sword and takes away from you more than it gives to you. You have allowed people to believe that what you give is a given because you don't place a lot of value on yourself. There are parts of you that are undernourished mentally, physically, and energetically because you exist in the emotional realm. And without these other parts of you, you might as well be walking nonsense. You want to be walking silliness, walking nonsense, walking confusion that people run away from because they don't want to deal with the heaviness of stupidity when you're nothing at all like stupid. If anything, you just have low self-esteem and an identity crisis at best. People treat you according to the instructions that you give them by how you treat yourself, the narratives that you get up and spin. And I promise you, it costs you something. Just because you can't intellectually calculate it doesn't mean that it isn't costing you. Okay? So, anyhow, it's time to put some things to bed. It's time to seal up the leaks. It's time to cut the weeds out. Okay? So make sure that you are following me on the other accounts that I have. And we can start getting into some things about, or as it relates to the topic of us as a unit starting to exfoliate the dead skin. Looking at the structures, looking at where we're flabby at, okay? And bringing exercise, bringing stress to those areas to create micro tears in the muscle fiber in such a way that we force healing and the strengthening of new muscle fiber, and to do it repetitively so that it becomes muscle memory. And instead of being flabby and out of shape, we're taught and in charge, okay? You know what I'm saying? We're in charge of the things, okay? So that's what I'm here to talk about, and the purpose of me talking, and it's just time to put some things away, okay? It's time to cut the weeds out, and it's time to make people very uncomfortable who try to relate to you and try to find sameness in you, not because you're attacking them, but because you are an exemplary example of just how far and how different you are. Not to cause them to feel less than, but to give them directional strength of where to go. And if they don't want to go there, they can go to hell. Okay? Shout out to Jericho Lake. If they don't want to go the distance, they can go to hell. Type shit. Okay? So anyway, that's really the word I have. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.